1. Working as night audit at a small family-owned, and this woman was having a birthday party for herself with her husband and 3 kids, ranging from about 10 to about 14. I first noticed them because the wife and the husband were out in the car drinking. Better, I thought, than drinking in the hotel, so I left them to it. Locked the doors, put up a sign saying very clearly the doors must remain locked. Tied the handles together with a ribbon, for those too stupid or lazy to read the sign, so they'll think twice about opening the deadbolt without telling me. The couple carried on drinking and smoking in their car for about an hour, while I watched the camera out of the corner of my eye and chipped away at my audit. Risking a security walk at around 12:10, I go past her room and hear the 3 kids up in the room stomping, laughing very loudly, and screaming along to Dora the Explorer. How do I know it was Dora, you ask?
Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping.
Stump, stump, jump, fall, laugh. Now, they've got paying guests trying to sleep on either side of them, and they themselves are an already somewhat trashily behaving Suxpedia couple. In fact, as I went outside earlier on to complete a security walk, I noticed that not only were they drinking on the car, they were downing wine out of our hotel glasses that they'd brought out there with them. So I'm beginning to form a plan, when I notice the parents are coming back in. I unlock the door, but the phone rings before I can head off the 2 Suxpee idiots. It is, naturally, the room next to them saying that there's a commotion in the room next door. I promise to look into it. I try calling up to the room, of course, nobody answers. I start getting a written warning prepped and printed. 5 minutes later, I hear stomping from above me. Go out to investigate, and the entire family comes out of the elevator. I inform her I've heard banging and ask if everything's okay. Well, I mean, look at how many people are coming out of this elevator, dear. Of course there's gonna be some noise. She looks down at me, somehow, despite being shorter than me. I understand that. I heard enough banging to cause concern. I just wanted to make sure everything is okay. We're fine, it's my birthday, or it was, it is. For a moment she glances around. Her husband looks completely exhausted. Yeah, we haven't been to bed yet. It's the same day as it was. My birthday. She brushes past me through the front door. We're just going for a smoke. Uh-huh. So they go outside. I watch on the camera for a few minutes as her children tear around the parking lot, kicking rocks and chunks of ice. Then I decide to make my move. I go out to her with the written warning. So I just got off the phone with one of the rooms next to yours. Uh-oh. We're being too loud. You're being a little loud. The guest complained about stomping and loud laughing, and something about somebody screaming "swipe her, no swiping." The children burst into giggles. That would be this one. It's just Dora. Yes, I know. Look, it's my birthday. This is what I wanted. This is what I love, seeing my kids have fun. Right, and I love Swiper too, I get it. It's just Dora. And it's also nearly 1 in the morning, so if we could just bring this to an end. This noise complaint is just a warning. I look at all of them. Please, it's nearly 1. Can we just shut it down and go to bed? So I go back inside, optimistically thinking it's over. When she comes back in, though, she waits at the desk. Her husband cowers behind her awkwardly. Hello? Hello, listen. I've got very honest children, and they weren't even being that loud. I understand. And I will try to be in your corner, but I literally asked them how loud they were being, and they showed me. They said, "Swiper, no swiping, swiper, no swiping." See, I'm not even being that loud. I understand. It was probably some old persnickety couple that they weren't being loud. The other people are lying. Look, I'm just ticking a box here. Yeah, he's just doing his job. Okay, she looks back at me. And in order to tick your box properly, you also need to hear my complaint. So she puts the written warning on the desk and slides it across to me. This is my response. Fine, I've been responded to. Great. She walks away. They go back up to the room. I continue my audit, fuming a bit. She and her husband come back downstairs a half hour later to go back outside. I think to myself, fuck it, I'm not opening the door for her after the way she spoke to me. And I'm not expected to either. At my shitty little property, the way it works is that people leave through any other door than the front door, all of which lock behind them, and the front door, locked from the inside, is itself used as a control point. Then to re-enter, they have to go through the automatic main doors into a vestibule with a phone where I can screen them before admitting them through the locked front doors. It's a poor solution to the immediate issue of many, many homeless in my side of town. Anyway, I choose not to get up and go above and beyond. She encounters my note, reads it, attempts to open the deadbolt. It gets stuck. She sighs dramatically at the door, then, with her husband, goes out the side door and they go back to their van, presumably to drink or smoke more. I go to the side door they just left to ensure they didn't prop it. They didn't. Then decide to go do pull stuff, as they were out there an hour last time. As I get back from doing the pull, I see her car door open, so being the nice guy I am, I opened that locked front door, opened it wide, and prop it with the foot. She can see me from her car, but would easily be able to get in once she goes through the automatic doors. I didn't particularly want to interact with her again, so I go back into the office. The show starts on the camera almost as soon as I sat down. She and husband exit their car, which is right next to the main entrance, and then begin walking away from the main entrance. After a second or so, I figure out what's going on. She can't, in her mind, go through the main entrance because she would have to speak to me and ask me for help. Oh, the horror. And so she was looking for a different way in, a way that does not exist because, remember, the front door is the only control point. I watch the front doors to see if she can somehow get them open. But no, it gets better. A minute or so later, the eldest child comes down in the elevator, talking rapidly and anxiously on her cell phone. The lady is trying to get the kid to let them in. I grab some Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar chips and watch. The kid goes all the way down to one entrance, at the end of the first floor hallway. Looks out, wrong door. Flaps hands anxiously, paces in front of the vending machine, goes back to the same door, tucks into phone quickly, starts breathing faster and walking faster. Walks all the way to the other end of the first floor hallway. Looks out, wrong door. Paces up and down that hallway another 3 times, speaking very, very stressfully and anxiously into the phone. Tries a third door. No luck. Finally, after about 2 to 3 solid minutes of this, kid is smart enough to try going to the front entrance, sees the door is wide open, walks through the wide door and starts yelling on her phone, making very righteous slashing movements with her hands. Turns on her heels and goes back into the elevator. I am, at this point, killing myself laughing. A minute or 2 later, lady and the man come through the front door quickly. She's a good car length ahead of him, speed walking with intent to murder. She casted a hateful glare at both the front door and the front desk as she passed them, then stomped into the elevator. Husband didn't make it, and got the next elevator. Curiously, her room was dead silent after that point. Don't worry, I was up there every 10 to 15 minutes throughout, making sure the room wasn't being unnecessarily noisy. And after the parents went back in, it wasn't. And as soon as the parents went back out again, I popped back up, hoping to record some audio of the kids screaming like idiots. They weren't. The next step would have been to put them all out, which is exactly what the written warning I handed her says in nice, plain, scary font. In the end, I didn't have to go there, though, both because the kids did actually quiet down, and because the Karen gave me an opportunity to fuck with her. And then she took it. 2. So I've been working at this high-end bed and breakfast for about 9 years. I've seen a lot go down in that time, but nothing like this. For context, the area I am in only has tourism based around one thing: Amish people. Naturally, that also includes their handmade goods like quilts. The original owner of the place I work, who I also worked for and is a sweetheart, is an avid quilter and hosted a small quilting class with a few ladies in the lobby, with full permission from the current owner. These ladies then decided to book a retreat with a group of quilting friends. We have 11 rooms in total, and they plan to occupy the main building, taking 7 rooms. This seemed like a good plan. We had met them, had reference from our previous owner, secured the minimum group down payment, outlined our cancellation policies, particularly since it was a busy time of year for us and a Veterans Day weekend. And we had it set in stone. Then came the first cancellation from the group leader, Deb. 7 rooms became 5 because of unexpected surgeries. and these were done before the cancellation fees would have hit, so this was fine, although my boss was not happy. Then we start getting phone calls from the other ladies, two in particular who we'll call Harriet and Sophia. Harriet was concerned about not being able to use our kitchen, which we told Deb they could absolutely do, within reason, and food safety guidelines. Sophia had been under the impression there were 2 beds in every room, particularly the standard rooms, which is not the case, and even a cursory glance at our website would have said as much. They demanded we have extra beds for them in the rooms so one person could sleep in the queen bed and another in the extra bed. And we do typically have rollaway beds, they were just in need of updating and replacing. So my boss spent $600 each on new twin-sized rollaway beds for these rooms so the ladies could have separate beds. Our cancellation policies state, especially since 2020, that emergency cancellations for illness will not be charged the full fee of one night's stay. Sophia called less than a week before the retreat to say she couldn't come because Harriet's husband was ill. Curious, I asked her what she would have to do with him being able to come. She said Harriet was the only person she had met in real life prior to the retreat, so if Harriet couldn't come, she didn't want to go alone. So I asked, are you cancelling because of an illness-related reason or just because you don't want to come? And she became upset. She said, I have until 2 days prior to my arrival to cancel. Aha. She dropped the veneer of Harriet's husband being ill, he wasn't, and admitted she just didn't want to go. I informed her the cancellation period was 2 weeks, not 2 days, and that was laid out in our policies. She became irate, blaming Deb for not informing her and saying that since she didn't know, she shouldn't be held to the policy. I told her that wasn't how it works. She hung up after I told her she wouldn't be charged if we resold the room. Then I received a call from Harriet, telling me that if she was going to be charged anyway, she'd like to book a room for 1 night instead of the 3 nights the retreat was supposed to take place. So not only was her husband not sick, she wanted to come stay during the retreat with him, without being a part of it or talking to any of the women who were. So 5 rooms turned into 3 rooms, a part of the retreat. We spent hundreds of dollars on new rollaways, which needed replaced anyway. Of the 5 women who were actually meant to be in those 3 rooms, only 3 showed up, leaving Deb to carry the vast majority of the $1,500 plus bill. Harriet did show up with her husband, and checking her in while the ladies were literally quilting in the lobby was an absolute awkward nightmare. And I spent several hours over the course of a week on the phone listening to middle-aged and elderly women talk shit about each other behind each other's backs over quilting. In the end, the ladies who came had a lot of fun. They loved their rooms, loved that we made space for them, brought a lot of food, and enjoyed our Christmas decor. The entire time, though, I was thinking about Deb and Harriet throwing shade at each other, not knowing they were staying 2 doors apart. 3. So I work at a small motel currently, but I've been working in hotels across all sizes for about 4 years now. Today I had a guest videotape me and call me a racist. So it all started with my previous shift renting a room to this couple. Her and her girlfriend had stayed here a couple of days ago, and fought in our room and caused a whole scene that night. But we dealt with it and gave them a chance and told them to please stop making noise, and running up and down the hotel crying and screaming as guests are getting disturbed, otherwise we would be forced to ask them to leave. We put her girlfriend on the DNR list, but today she took the room under her ID, so my front desk had no clue who they were. We have a strict 2-person policy, like no visitors and stuff. That has been the rule in practice for many years in the motel industry in this city. After renting the room, not 10 minutes later we see 4 people enter the room, and by that time the front desk figured out that it was the same ladies from the previous night. So we called the room and let them know they can't have 4 people in the room, and we asked them to come get their money and leave, as we did not want to further create any issues and want them off our property due to the last experience. She comes down and insists that we cannot refund her money on her card she paid with and wants cash. Told her that is not the policy, and what is stopping her from taking our cash refund and going 2-3 days down the line and doing a chargeback, causing us to be double in the red. Whilst I'm trying to explain this to her, she is already claiming discrimination, racism, sexism, all just for cash. Told her again, you used a card, we have to refund you that money on that card. I do not know any business that does a cash refund if you pay by card. By this point, she has her phone out recording me, calling me all sorts of things and stating that I am racist. She is going to sue me for racism and discrimination. She has raised her voice throughout this whole conversation. I've maintained my composure, still trying to make her understand why it is she's getting kicked out. Now she starts saying that we never told her the policy. You signed the fucking folio that clearly states it. There is a board in the lobby the size of a window stating all of our rules. And you stayed here 3 days ago, and we told you the policy then too. Like what? She says she's calling the cops and leaves the office and goes to her car. 5 minutes later, she comes back, throws her card at me, says she called the cops, she's calling her lawyer, she's calling civil services, she's calling the state offices. I don't know who else she called, might have called Biden too. I take her card, refund her money, she still refuses to sign the refund copy. She created such a spectacle of herself. Finally, she leaves after saying fuck you to me and my colleagues. Like so, everyone is automatically racist now. You know the policy, you know the rules, you have been given chances but still want to sit on top of your throne like we owe you something. You want to claim discrimination and racism while slinging racist slurs yourself. What makes you the exception to the rule? I love working in the hotel industry, but people like this really make me want to quit. 4. So I work at a popular chain hotel on weekends as a night auditor, and because of my background, I double as security when our officers are either occupied or not present. For the last few months, our security has had issues with a security patrol vehicle, not associated with the hotel, who will constantly park in the handicapped parking spaces. We have numerous complaints from guests that security is taking up the handicapped spaces, which, in turn, is making our security officers look bad. The security supervisor and other officers have confronted this individual on numerous occasions, and he has refused to heed their requests. We later discovered he does patrols in the area but often stays at our hotel. 2 weeks ago, at about 12 a.m., our security was busy with the lounge. So I did a quick sweep of our parking area and noticed the security patrol vehicle had just arrived on property and entered one of the handicapped spaces. I eyed his vehicle for a handicapped placard and waited until he exited his vehicle to determine if he had a limp or otherwise required the accommodation. I then made contact with him and engaged him in conversation. "How's your night going?" "Good." "So unfortunately, you can't use the handicapped space without a placard." "What's your name?" "Arcanesia." "I'm a Diamond member." "We appreciate your loyalty, but that doesn't give you the right to break the law. Can you please move your car to a regular space?" "You're doing a good job, you know that?" He then enters the hotel and I notify the security supervisor of what occurred. I later follow up with my front desk, who knows the guest's identity, and we look him in the system. Turns out he's only a gold member, which is our lowest tier, so he's also a liar. At this time, I'm tempted to call the number on the side of his patrol car, but I decide to wait, as the front desk suggests we inform the manager so we can talk to him and threaten to put him on the DNR. Last week, I'm doing my patrol and notice he's once again in the handicap space, despite being literally next to an open regular space. I leave and return 3 hours later, and he's still there, so I call the number and inform them of the situation. 20 minutes later, his car was moved to a regular space. I came into work today and the security supervisor informs me he saw the patrol officer yesterday without his patrol vehicle and not in uniform pending his suspension. The supervisor stated that he was surprised I'd called the company and thought we should wait it out. The main thing that got to me was his attitude and lack of regard for those needing accommodations. Had he come to me and said something along the lines of, "Hey man, I just finished my shift and I just want to knock out for a few hours. Can you offer me some professional courtesy?" I'd be more inclined to help him out, but as they say, karma is a motherfucker. A little later, after talking to my security supervisor, I learned a few things regarding this incident. The patrol officer was already on suspension for a previous mess-up. His superiors were confused why he was at a hotel when he was supposed to be actively patrolling a location on the other side of town. 5. it's been a rough weekend. I work night audit in a pretty busy location. With only 108 rooms, we stay pretty booked up, especially on weekends. But despite the firefighters being called out to property, a desk agent that takes it upon herself to switch out room types of reservations without telling anyone, and 2 weddings, a big Christmas party, and a soccer team, tonight was the worst. I've worked in hotels for 6 years now, and this level of crazy, and I'm not even sure what the right word for it is, immaturity, maybe, has left me stumped. We had 2 no-shows last night, and I don't have to sell those rooms to walk-ins after audit. But because our sales manager is on our ass about shit like that, it looks good to sell them. But as many of you may know, the type of people who come in as walk-ins with no reservation at 3 a.m. are sometimes hit or miss when it comes to how they're going to act. The man walks in, and through my mask I could already smell the weed. But hey, maybe he just smokes in his car. Is it a red flag? Maybe. But sales, 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 right? He asks the price and I tell him I'd have to charge him last night's rate. But then I adjusted it to be a few dollars less. Our going rate being $159 and the rate I gave him $145. The total after taxes being $158.07. So I tell him, and then informed him that after the deposit it'll be $208.07. Immediately he stands up straighter and starts to raise his voice.
Why the fuck would you charge me $200 when you just said it was $158? That's a big difference. You can't just start adding money onto what I have to pay.
So the extra $50 is our security deposit that we...
Oh, I see. You want to charge me more because I'm black? Well, I'm not going to pay that. That's fucking ridiculous.
Our manager is an angel, and she respects our limits. We don't have to tolerate guests, or in this case, not guests, raising their voice or cursing at us. So I kindly tell him to leave. I didn't want things to escalate, and having a guest here trying to bully me out of paying the mandatory security deposit by calling me a racist wasn't going to make for a good guest. He starts to come around the desk, but then turns last minute and walks right out the door instead. I watch my cameras and see him send in his girlfriend. Great. So I'm pleasant with her, and explain because her boyfriend decided to cause a scene that he wasn't welcome on the property tonight.
What does that have to do with me?
He came in the same car. If you stay, so would he. And as I've said, he isn't welcome here because he started to yell at me when he came in.
No, see, what I think is going on is that you're just a fucking racist bitch.
Okay. And ma'am, you can leave too. I am not renting you a room tonight.
Okay, I need your name.
I give my first name.
Your name.
I give my first name.
No, your first and last name.
No, my name is... I give my first name. It's on my name tag. See?
No, I need your last name.
You don't. I am the only one with my name who works here.
Okay. I'm going to contact your manager, and I'm going to get you fired.
Okay, well, she'll be in tomorrow. You can call her then.
No, you're going to call her now.
No, I'm not. It's 3:20 in the morning. She'll be in the morning. That's when she'll be able to help you out. She won't leave. She keeps going back and forth with me, and she actually comes behind the desk. So I grab my phone and tell her I'm calling the police. She then decided to leave, but she said she would just make a reservation online. But that didn't stop her. She kept calling, even after I had the police speak to her because she called in while they were there. The station is literally like a stone's throw distance, so they were there fast. One time pretending to be someone wanting to book a room, and I told her that unfortunately it was too late to book a room now. Check-in wasn't until 3 p.m.
Actually, I'm a third-tier member, and I'm entitled to an early check-in.
I pretend not to know who she was. Yes, if there's rooms of your type available, you can check in 2 hours early, which would be 1 p.m.
Actually, I can check in at 4 a.m.
Conveniently 5 minutes from then. All in all, she called a total of 6 times. Sometimes she would pretend to be someone else, but she would always break character. The final call was my all-time favorite. It was just her saying the same insult over and over again.
You're incompetent.
And then the final blow. Well, I won't say what she said, but it started with R and ended with D. Not a nice lady. I ended up having to call my manager because it went on like this for an hour. I couldn't do anything with the phone ringing every 10 minutes, and nothing could be done. They even called me while I was on the phone with her. The girlfriend gave me her information, so I was able to look up her profile. And she was a lower tier than what she said, and she stated our brand a very low number of times. So I think she might have been an employee. She knew all the right wording and information. Either that or she was a habitual complainer to get enough points to rise ranks. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 77. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do like, subscribe, and ding that dong. Because it's Christmas. You ring bells at Christmas, right? And before we go on, I'd like to give a little shout out to the author of story number 2, and that goes to Reddit user Strawberry Sheep. That's a nice name. Thank you very much, Strawberry Sheep, for letting us use your story. Anyway, you know, I've got a bunch of stuff sitting in a basket on Amazon. It's essentially my personal Christmas shopping. I like my sodas and candy and things for myself for ostensibly for Christmas Day, but you know, I tend to get a few things, so they invariably get opened before Christmas Day. I just need to order them. I'm just trying to pick a day when I'm in the mood to actually take in a delivery. Maybe tomorrow. I don't need to do groceries, so if I could maybe get them all delivered on the same day, that'd be great. Anyway, I'm going to head off for now and lay down for a bit, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.